Okay, if I'm not mistaken, I've read the Google properly. 2001 was your on-screen debut for Channel 4 at Haydock, and it all went from there. Was that a lucky break, or was it something you manufactured to work for you?
I didn't want to be on telly. I didn't really care, as long as I could get my bets on and go racing every day. The whole point of me working was the old boy didn't. This is my father. Didn't want me sitting around on the sofa. Not that I did that, but he didn't want me like going around and punting here, there and everywhere, which is what I did do, going to dog tracks and getting into all sorts of mischief. So I'd done well. I was max runner for a few years, 4 years by then. And unfortunately for racing, it was foot and mouth. So up until March 31st, 2001, which was the Haydock meeting, I was running. For a few weeks I'd been running the yes or no's, whether racing should carry on through in foot and mouth. And my seat at Haydock was just behind the set. Well, I could see Tomo aligned with me, and there was cameras round that way, but not where I was. And I had a little desk laptop printing off the yes or no and other emails as well. And when Tomo or whoever was presenting used to speak to me, I automatically always assumed it was a commercial break, which it was. So when Tomo called over to me on that day and said, what's the percentage of horses, people thinking that horse racing should carry on, I answered that. I didn't have any idea that I was on television. Well, I will say though, the executive producer was on a holiday, so he's not to blame, Andrew Franklin. Who was in charge was Mark Jackson and Jim Ramsey. So when I come off set, they were laughing and chuckling. I still had no idea. No one told me. And they said, oh, what do you think of skiing debut? And, you know, I just shrugged my shoulders, because actually the following week was National Week. So there was a thought process of, oh my God, I got a clerk at Aintree. It was my week off from Channel 4. I've got to go and clerk on a pitch at Aintree. There were, outside of that, I'd appeared on TV. I thought, oh, great gag. Never going on TV again, you know. There was no ambition to be on telly. That weren't me, because I just wanted to go down the dogs that night and have a punt, or see whether the golf or cricket was on. Following Aintree, the week after Aintree, Andrew's back from holiday, so we're all called in the office, all three of us, given a good ticking over, mainly because Mark had got 5 commercial breaks in an hour, which at that time wasn't allowed, or was or wasn't allowed. It's just that it was not the done thing, and we always joke now when Mark rings me, I say 5 commercial breaks in an hour. But you know, he said, where's your laptop? I thought, what the hell is my laptop? It's in my car. I said, you better get it out. You're sitting next to Simon Holt, because Mac was on holiday at that occasion. And then it dawned on me, oh my God, I've got to start, you know, when I didn't know it was on. So I'm on and I'm thinking, I'm totally confused. And yeah, because you're brought up in betting and bookmaking, I feel it's ethical to be discreet, and so I was fumbling over my words. And in this day and age, because I've luckily gone through and had the privilege of working on TV for so long, I don't give any more when talking on camera, and I've got that freedom when, thankfully, once again, Dave Lawrence, when I'm, you know, appearing on other things these days.
Now, you mentioned that after telling Mac to go forth and multiply,
oh, yes, right. Yes.
You got on really well with him.
Yeah, we did.
Everybody's going to miss him, obviously, but you worked very closely with him for a long time. You must have some good Mac stories you can share with us.
Yeah, I mean, what an absolute gent, what a laugh. I mean, people don't realise, they only see the pantomime villain, the man that threw out the quotes to be devil's advocate. Let's include Rod in all of this. He didn't get too much mention, did he, with all the tributes, but Rod was part of this team of 4. Rod, myself, Jenny and Mac was a team of 4. And everyone said how hard-working Mac was, which he was. He used to wheel in this trolley with all these stats in. And when you're working on live TV, you don't realise the urgency of things that need to be. So, of course, some of the comments that are said are sharp and abrupt and may seem to outsiders rude. And Mac would write out his stats on 5 different race cards, trainers, jockeys, favourites and various things, and he'd layer them up, of which Rod very kindly would keep a couple inside his coat pocket of his fleece, and as they're coming near the line, towards the finishing line, Mac would know what one would be relevant. And I remember this one day when Mac says, you know, in a really sharp voice, I want that now. So Rod's other job was holding the cigar. And he said it in such a tone that Rod went to his inside coat pocket and with the cigars gave the gesture to set light to the specific race card. So when Andrew's calling through to say the comment, we're all bursting laughing. We can't speak because Rod set light to the race card. So that's the kind of playfulness that you get, the kind of kid joking. The other thing that I've mentioned maybe when Mac used to, when Leeds were quite high up in the Premier League, as it were, or they were on the periphery of going down, we stood in a Doncaster betting ring and Mac looked up to the commentary camera. I'm stood right next to him and he shouted out, "I hope Leeds go down." That wasn't the best idea. That wasn't great either. I mean, he just got in all sorts of mischief. Another one that I loved was the Doncaster press room is a lot different now. The old Doncaster, the press room was on the ground floor and Mac was shouting out for quiet, quiet, quiet. And Frankham saw the old brass band out the front on the tuba and on the trumpet. So Frankham's gone out and given them a backhander to come in because Mac's going, "Quiet, quiet, quiet, I'm trying to do my stats." So Frankham's gone out, given him a whisper. And I'm opposite Mac, I see what was happening and so could Rod. You see the door opening and the brass band in a whole circuit to the amusement of every pressman in there except for Mac. And then gradually, as they come into the end of their tune, Mac burst out laughing. And then he very kindly, Jenny gave up a ticket every now and then to cricket. And then she'd say, "Can you go with Mac to cricket?" And we went to see England Bangladesh one day at Lord's. And Mac was a real sweetie. It was quite a warm day, as you expect. It's the summer of cricket. And Mac, trying to be the gentleman host, went to get us some ice creams. By the time we come back, it's all down his arms. He's dripping down. I mean, yeah, it's just looking at and laughing. And then me and Rod used to have a little tip up, a little punt with Mac on horses during the day. This will win, that'll win. And sometimes, because he's so concentrated in all his stats, Rod would go, "Didn't that run well?" i.e. that's gone. He used to kick off. But no, it used to be the whole time, it used to be a complete laugh. But nothing ever with Mac was scripted. She didn't know what was coming. So there'd be so many more memories that I just look back. Oh, that's another one that I love. He used to go on holiday at a specific time to go and do the Breeders' Cup, which used to coincide with me going to see the NFL at Wembley. And he used to say, "Don't forget to wave to me, female." And I say, "There's 90,000 people at Wembley, Mac. How am I going to wave to you?" "I'll see you. I'll see you. Don't worry, just give us a wave." You imagine he would see you, wouldn't you? You think, oh my God. But no, that's how he was, bless him.
It sounds like you guys were a proper close-knit team, lots of fun. I mean, so what happened to Mac and then what happened to you guys afterwards must have been a real wrench, even more so than what people think.
Yeah, a wrench from losing all your mates, aren't you? Yeah, a wrench from losing all your mates. That's like me, Mac, Rod and Jenny, that little group. That was in 2012, and also the fact that unfortunately, or fortunately for me, I was selected to do the following 4 years for Channel 4, which then adds a little bit of guilt. I felt really guilty, but the first person on the phone was Mac. First person to congratulate me. "Don't worry, female, don't worry, female." And that shows you just the man himself. He was the first person on the phone, despite all what had gone on and him not going to be alongside me. He was the first on the phone to congratulate me, and then he was always on the phone to me, "What's news? What's news?" Even though he would know more news than me, he'd be on the phone, "What's news?" Or if my team had beaten his, he'd congratulate me, or vice versa, he'd heckle me. So it was good. But no, it is like losing your best mate. And yeah, it's something that I will never get my head round. And it meant that the next 4 years were like a huge hole in a vacuum. And I know I was in a privileged position, but I didn't enjoy it. I didn't enjoy the next 4 years. And that's really a shame to say. I just kept my head down and was professional, but it wasn't enjoyable. And I tried to make it enjoyable possible. The enjoyable part was going racing all the time and seeing the faces, but you weren't with your best mate, and you had this kind of guilt that you should be.
So take with that in mind then, was it How big a blow was it when you didn't get taken on along with some of your other colleagues to go to ITV? Do you take it as a personal thing?
Well, no, I couldn't care toss. I don't know where I'm at. So, no, I mean, I'd already... See, that's a really rude and flippant thing to say, but I'd been made redundant more times than they could have been. Redundant, sacked, told to get all the rude words imaginable. I closed down more greyhound tracks you can imagine. I mean, they joke with me that the tracks that I stood up at have closed down. So the bigger blow for me is when Canterbury closed down. That was a bigger blow because I'm a bit mercenary. Because that was things like that was my life. I had loads of little mates there and loads of little dog training there. Maidstone was a blow. But because of all those blows, when something like missing out on ITV, it's not missing out, is it? They wanted to do something completely new. And because of all that gone before, I've been given the two fingers the whole time. I thought, right, okay, what can we do next? Something will crop up, and sure enough, it did crop up, but not in the way I expected.
Now, you've just reminded me of something that you told me, I think, a while back, when you criticised the dog tracks culinary offerings.
Oh, yeah.
I need to tell us that story.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, oh, bless her, Rachel. Goodness me, I mean, there was... myself and another ground trainer. I'll keep him out of it, but he's so much. I used to write a column in the Racing Post that was meant to be for greyhound racing, and the editor wanted me to be like round the race courses, round the dog tracks, and do all the culinary. And I said, unfortunately, at the time, which was unwarranted and unfair, the only thing good to eat at Nottingham was a Mars bar because it was wrapped. That's me. But I'm sorry, Rachel. I'm sorry. And she quite rightly scolded me. And Nottingham is a phenomenal track now, as you saw it. It held the Derby, and once again, it shows you, to Rachel's credit, what a phenomenal person that runs that track now. She got the Derby, she ran it professionally. But at that time, you know, you were put on a microscope, and you just didn't want to follow everyone else's pandering to everything. I mean, there was a time at Perry Bar, I had to take Perry Bar to task. Different now, because of whatever, they wouldn't give someone a jacket potato on a burger voucher because they were, you know, that was a long way down. This is how long ago, it's about 20 years ago. 20 years ago, that's how scary it was, in the fact that it was Terry in charge of Nottingham then. I mean, yeah, so that's what I was like, that's me. But it's people, unfortunately, TV didn't see me because once again, you just keep yourself guarded, don't you?